right, hello everybody. Chief Meteorologist Hunter Williams here on this Wednesday evening. Wanted to take a little time ahead of our 10 o'clock newscast and walk through the forecast over the next 36 hours or so, talk about our severe weather threat, which is mainly centered around tomorrow afternoon, but there is actually low end potential for perhaps a couple of hail producing storms tonight. And then also go over any questions. So we've got the stream going. We're going on all our platforms here. So especially if you're watching on Facebook, if you have any questions, anything that you'd like us to talk about, specific forecast for where you live, we would love to get that handled for you. But first, before we get to the questions and comments, let's just kind of go through the forecast here. So live look right now, Kalahari Cam. It's mild. It's humid. It was the first official day of meteorological spring today. It felt like it. 74 right now in Burnett. Austin still in the upper 70s, and we're going to stay quite warm and humid all night long. So I made this graphic earlier today. Just want to kind of break this down step by step, given there's kind of several rounds of storms that we're tracking. Round one, and this again is not the main event, but round one is going to be tonight between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. There's a scattered storm chance tonight. I've got a rain chance tonight around 40%, so most of you probably will not see stormy weather tonight. But where any scattered storms do develop, it's possible they could produce some hail. So if you've got a carport or a garage or something like that, an easy way to get your car protected, my advice would be take advantage of that for tonight before you go to bed. Round two, that is coming in for tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. This is the main event that we've been talking about all week long. We think a widespread line of storms will develop. It will be one of those that moves in across the hill country, moves west to east across pretty much our entire area. And the time frame for that is 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll break that down kind of county by county for you in a moment, but that's the window we're watching. And with this main round, really all modes of severe weather will be possible. Gusty winds are by far my number one concern, but I can't rule out some additional hail in the afternoon tomorrow, and also a situation where an isolated tornado or two also can't be completely ruled out. Now, after the storms, also want to make sure everybody's clear on this. It's going to be very breezy even behind the thunderstorms late tomorrow evening, tomorrow night into Friday morning. We've got a wind advisory that will be issued late day tomorrow. 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust will be possible, and that's outside of any windy weather that develops in the storms. And I've got the comments pulled up, so again, if anybody has questions, let us know where you're watching from. I see Diane is tuning in, Cindy is watching in Leander, Romeo is watching. Karen's watching. Hello, everybody. Again, if you have any questions, fire away. If I don't get to it right away, we'll go back after we get through all the forecast details. Okay, so this was one of the newer updates today. We have a storm outlook now for tonight, and it's the low-end marginal level 1 out of 5 risk. This includes Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, the Hill Country, a good chunk of our area, and this is the low-end potential for hail that we talked about tonight. However, this is the storm outlook for tomorrow. Not only a bigger threat, but also a threat that has been increasing through the day today. So if you watched us yesterday, we had a slight risk for the northeastern half of our area, then the 1 out of 5, the marginal risk outside of that. Now we have the enhanced risk. That's the level 3 out of 5. And that includes places like Burnett, northern Burnett County, into Williamson County. This includes Georgetown, just north of Round Rock. Goes into places like Granger and then into Milam County and includes the Cameron area. And then outside of that, we have the slight risk. That's the level 2 out of 5 that includes the rest of our KVUE area. So essentially our whole area has been upgraded to some degree. I want to show you the statewide picture, though. Tomorrow's going to be a very active day, and you know what? In some ways, we're kind of lucky here in Central Texas. We're not getting the brunt of this system. This is going to be a big deal tomorrow afternoon and evening, I'm afraid, across parts of North Texas and East Texas. Look at this. That is the moderate risk, or the level 4 out of 5 for parts of Northeast Texas into Arkansas, into Louisiana. And that's a pretty big moderate risk area. I'll be watching that outlook when they issue the day 1 version of this after midnight tonight. It is possible they may try and do a high risk inside of that. But let's start talking about our local forecast and our storm chance. This is where the system is right now. Big upper level low over California. In fact, look at that, a severe thunderstorm warning over Arizona tonight, not too far away from the Phoenix area. And then also tonight, there's another little piece of energy causing tornado-warned storms across parts of southern Arkansas, into Mississippi, and into northern Alabama right now. So here's the timeline. I'll take this full for you just so everybody can see. You can pick out your county, your town. This is my latest thinking as far as the timing tomorrow. This will be a very quick moving system with this main round, the line that develops. For Mason County, it's possible as early as 3:30. There could be some storms coming in, but for most of us, it's between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. tomorrow for the main round. If you live in Llano or Fredericksburg or Blanco, Dripping Springs, Western Travis, Laga Vista into parts of Williamson County, Round Rock, Georgetown, Jarrell, we're looking at about 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. for your window of stormy weather tomorrow. For the Austin Metro, southern I-35 corridor down to Buda and San Marcos, it's going to be right around 6, if not a little bit after when this rolls in. And then to the east, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So 7 to 8 p.m. or so, Luling at a Bastrop and Giddings, LaGrange. And by 8 p.m., I think just about all of the stormy weather has moved out, and the rest of the overnight will be mostly clear, but very breezy. Okay, so let's go through our timing here. And this is just one model. So as we look at this, especially with tonight's round of storms, understand it's not going to be exactly perfect. The models have really struggled to pick up on tonight's storm chance. So what we're telling you, there's a 30 to 40% chance for storms tonight. Not everybody will see it. The placement will not look exactly like what this model is showing. Here 6 a.m. It's got a couple of storms perhaps around the I-35 corridor. These could really be anywhere across central Texas. If you happen to get under one of those storms, it could be a loud one. Thunder could wake you up late tonight, tomorrow morning. And there could also be some hail in there. So like we talked about, if there's a way where you can easily protect your car, I think that would be wise for tonight. Now let's go to the afternoon. This is our main storm chance coming in for the afternoon into the early evening. So 4 p.m. Mason County, Gillespie County, storms are developing. And once they develop, they will very quickly merge into this organized line of storms. For those of you who follow the weather closely, y'all know when you get a line of storms like that, what's the biggest threat normally? It's normally gusty straight line winds, and that's why we think that will be the case tomorrow. But we still can't rule out embedded within that line a tornado or two tomorrow, and maybe even some pockets of hail as well. So 5 p.m. into Burnett County, into northern Blanco County. This could be moving in around Johnson City, into the Stonewall area, Gillespie County, areas like that around 5:30. And then again, our models are showing right around 6, if not just after. This is moving into a good chunk of the I-35 corridor. Now, I showed you where that enhanced risk area is, which includes parts of Williamson County. And what our models are picking up on, and this is getting real localized, but just wanted to point this out, picking up on maybe some of the strongest storm activity right in this area. So Round Rock, into Hutto, into Georgetown, into Taylor, into LaGrange, places like this. I'm going to keep an especially close eye. Our models have been kind of consistently hinting that may be where the strongest storms set up. So if you live in those areas, just want you to be especially mindful tomorrow. And then here at 7 p.m., this will pretty quickly move east. So at that point, we're looking at stormy weather for Bastrop, into Giddings, into Lexington, into Luling, into Caldwell County. And then by 8, it's pretty much all gone. And by 9, by the time we start our 10 o'clock newscast tomorrow, all the stormy weather is going to be out of here. The rest of the night will be just clear and breezy. But that will take us into the next aspect of this forecast, and that's going to be the wind speeds both during and behind these storms. So here's 6:30. This is actually new model data that we're looking at. I haven't seen some of these numbers. Our models are printing out along and right behind these storms across the hill country by 6:30 tomorrow. There could be 30 to 40 to maybe as high as 50 or more mile-per-hour wind gusts. This model is printing out 60 for Llano. I don't know that it's going to be that strong, but it just shows you the potential is certainly there. Here's midnight. Still some 40 to 50 mile-per-hour gusts, especially across the hill country, and then through the rest of the night into Friday morning, we'll start to see that make its way farther east. So by 8 a.m. Friday, 30 to 40 plus mile-per-hour wind gust will be possible. Fire concerns, those will certainly be there. I'll show you the fire outlook here in one moment, but let me cue up the wind advisory for you. We have a wind advisory for the I-35 corridor and points west. That's 3 p.m. to midnight tomorrow. I just showed you the model. I think it is very possible, if not likely, that is extended through tomorrow night and probably into Friday morning with gusts up to 50 miles per hour possible. So this is outside of wind gust in the storms. So with storms coming in, hopefully you do this anyways. If you got, decorations or anything out in the yard that, tends to blow around, trash cans, stuff like that, just make sure that's secure and in a safe, sturdy place. Now, what about rain potential? You know we need the rain. Yesterday, we were looking at some of the numbers for meteorological winter, which we just ended. Again, meteorological winter is the 3-month stretch. It's December, January, and February, where we ended up with 4.99 inches of rainfall. That was 2.26 inches under the average for that 3-month stretch. We know about the drought conditions. We could use the rain, especially if we're going to have strong storms. Hey, we'd hope that they could give us some beneficial rain. I just think this is a situation where they're moving so fast that unless you get under the heaviest storms, it's probably going to be about 1/4 of an inch, maybe less for some on average. But especially northern Travis, into Burnett, into Williamson and Milam County, where the heaviest storms set up and you just get torrential rain, even if it's for a quick second, I do think it could add up 3/4 of an inch to an inch plus in spots. Now, that will be isolated. Most won't see that, but the potential is there for some areas. Okay, so just went through most of the data with you. Before we go into the questions here, I'll show you the 7-day forecast. Again, tomorrow, a day where we want you to be weather aware. Severe storms are possible. Gusty winds are my main concern, but an isolated tornado and some hail can't be ruled out. And then even tonight, again, some hail is possible. Friday will be at least a little cooler. It will be in the low 70s. It will be very breezy, especially early in the day. Fire potential will be there, especially for areas that don't pick up a ton of rain from the storms moving through tomorrow evening. And then Saturday, and really the weekend looks really nice. The morning's going to be cool in the 40s, low 50s, but the afternoons will be sunny and just warm, upper 70s. That looks great if you're heading out to the Austin FC game Saturday. Monday, 84. Next week is looking warmer. Even into Wednesday, it's 83. We may be looking at a front late day Wednesday. And then late next week, we'll start talking about this once we get the storm chance through here. But late next week, I could see things turning a little bit chilly again. But again, we'll focus on the storm chance for now. And here in a couple of days, we'll start talking about that. So that's the latest for you. Going to look through some of the comments here and see what we have. And then I know people kind of come and go in these streams. We'll go through it one more time for everybody, just so everybody knows what to expect. And we'll leave that up. Let's see. Spring, are you sure? Yeah, at least this week. Like I said, I don't think we're done with at least, you know, a little bit of cold weather from here on out. Could get cold again, certainly, but this week is very spring-like, that's for sure. Noreen is asking about school dismissal safety. Let's go back to the timing here. I think that most schools will already be out now if there's like after-school activities or practice, band rehearsal, stuff like that. You may be getting closer to the timeline. But here's what we're expecting. By the time this moves into much of the I-35 corridor in the metro, it's going to be 5, 6 p.m., probably at the earliest. So at that point, I would imagine most of the kids are home from school. Parents, let me know if I'm missing something here with the school schedules. And then especially east of Austin, it will be later into the evening. But this is going to be, and a lot of folks drive home from work time. So we often say when we get timing like this, if you could just check in with us before you leave the office. I hate the timing like this. I don't want anybody to leave work and get out on the I-35 or Mopac and you're sitting in traffic and a big storm blows over and there's hail and wind. I don't want that. So it would be better in that situation just to stay at work. These things will move fast. They'll move through and then you can head home after. But this is a look at the timing. I think for most, this is going to put us after that school threshold. But if you've got practices or any after school stuff like that, it might be something to plan around for you. Richard watching in Round Rock. Abby's watching in Belton. How is Fayette County looking? Again, Fayette County, it's farthest east, so it's going to be around 7, 8 p.m. probably for Fayette County as these storms move in, but the severe risk is certainly going to be there for Fayette County, especially the gusty wind potential. For Fayette County, LaGrange, Schulenburg, Flatonia, not sure exactly where you live, but it's the slight risk, the level 2 out of 5 for you tomorrow. Irma, hello, watching from the Hornsby Bend area. How much are we going to be affected? So this goes for Hornsby Bend and just about everywhere. Tonight it will be hit or miss scattered storms. Again, we'll get you into the play-by-play here. Not everybody will see stormy weather tonight with round 1. However, round 2 tomorrow is going to be a situation where we get a line of storms that forms, and that's going to bring, I'm not saying everybody sees severe weather tomorrow. In fact, most of us hopefully don't. But most of us will have at least some rowdy storms moving through. It's going to be a line, move to west to east, so this includes Hornsby Bend and just about all of our KVUE area. Most will see some sort of stormy weather tomorrow. Not everybody is going to get a severe thunderstorm warning tomorrow. Hey, I hope maybe we can be lucky and we don't get any warnings, but the potential is going to be there for a couple of stronger storms, and just about everybody is going to get some form or fashion of stormy weather tomorrow. Folks are complaining about the allergies. I know this week we've started to see oak popping up on the slide, which it's getting to be that time of the year. As soon as you get out of cedar season, you're like, all right, cedar season's over, and then you get into oak season. Vicky's talking about the spring flowers. I've been driving around. The bluebonnets are out. The bluebonnets with this warm weather have been loving it. As long as it's not March 2022 tornado outbreak, I can try to calm myself. Again, I don't want anybody to get anxiety about this. We're not telling you this to scare you. We just want you to be prepared. You know, if you're indoors as these storms move through, for the most part, we should be completely fine. And just to talk about March 2022, I was actually up in Hutto earlier today. I was talking to a group of 9th graders there, and we were looking back at the tornado that obviously moved very close to the Hutto community. We were looking back at that day. And I remember the storm outlook for that day. That was the moderate risk, the 4 out of 5. So what we're talking about with the bigger severe weather risk over North Texas, Northeast Texas, that's what we had back in March 2022 when we had the Round Rock tornado, when we had the Elgin tornado. We don't have that risk for tomorrow. We are not expecting a repeat of that. In fact, I think the tornado risk is relatively low. Not to say that we couldn't have a tornado or two, but I'm mainly concerned about gusty wind potential tomorrow. We have the level 2 and the level 3. Back March 2022, we had the 3 and the 4. So it's a lower risk, but still one we want you to be prepared for. So hopefully that helps. Cool. Looks like most of the questions here are answered. Let me go over to this other stream. Michelle's asking, in Wimberley, will I be able to go to my apartment or appointment in Wimberley from 1:30 to 2:30 tomorrow? Yes, that will be before the storms. There should not be any stormy weather that early. For the Wimberley area, it's probably going to be 5, 6 p.m., if not a little bit later when storms move in. Okay, let's go through things one more time, and then I will let you go. It's 8:53 right now. We'll try and hop off of here around 9 o'clock or so. And as we always do, we will do our newscast at 10 o'clock. I'll have all the latest on the weather forecast for you. In fact, we'll have some new high-res data that normally comes in right before our. It's a little stressful for me to make sure our graphics get it and to look at it, but we'll have likely a new high-res model run for you during our full forecast at 10. So we're going over the forecast now, but if you'd like to see that new data, we'd really appreciate it if you could join us at 10. We're looking back at the Austin bombings, some really tragic to look back at it, but some really great pieces that the news team has been putting together, and we have that in our newscast tonight as well. Okay, so right now, Kalahari Cam, we've been kind of hazy, cloudy today. It's just been humid and warm and soupy outside. 77 is the temperature in Austin right now. Burnett, right now 74. We're only going to drop down to 67, if that, overnight. So round 1, and this is the more minor round, is the potential for some scattered storms tonight. The window is 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. And hail's going to be the main threat. But again, our storm chance tonight's about 40%. So I would say most won't see stormy weather tonight. But if you get under a storm, and hey, if this tracks right over the Austin Metro, wakes up a bunch of people, if you get under a storm, there could be some hail. So if you can protect your car, get it in the garage or under the carport tonight, I think that's wise. Round 2, this is going to be the main event. That will be tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Timing is 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. west to east, so closer to 4, 5, 6 if you live across the hill country, 5, 6, 7, I-35 corridor, 6, 7, 8 if you live to the east. Gusty winds, hail, isolated tornadoes. Gusty winds are the main threat, but really any mode of severe weather, including isolated tornadoes, will be possible tomorrow. And then even after the storms, it's still going to be very, very breezy. We're looking at 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust for tomorrow evening through Friday morning. So here's our storm outlook for tonight. And this was a new addition to the forecast today. The storm outlook, the Storm Prediction Center rather, now including most of our area in a low and marginal risk tonight. So again, most probably won't see storms. And even if you see storms, it probably won't be severe, but there could be some pockets of hail that develop tonight. This is tomorrow's storm outlook, the level 2 and the level 3. That's the slight risk and the enhanced risk, with the enhanced being the northern tier from Burnett to just north of Round Rock, into Georgetown, into Granger, into Cameron and Milam County. Then the rest of us have been upgraded to the slight risk. That's the 2 out of 5. Tomorrow, there could be impactful, significant weather here in central Texas, but I'm happy to report we are not expecting the brunt of the system here where we live. That's the 4 out of 5, the moderate risk across North Texas, East Texas, into Louisiana and Arkansas. So earlier, somebody was asking me, I hope this is not going to be like March 2022 when we had the Round Rock tornado and when we had the Elgin tornado. We are not expecting that. We had the 4 out of 5 here that day. Now we have the 2 and the 3. So not expecting the same level of threat. But here's our system right now, which is, need to update this graphic. It's essentially now moving from Southern California into Arizona. Looks like a severe thunderstorm warning there close to Phoenix, which is interesting. And then ahead of it, a little disturbance already causing severe weather over Arkansas, Louisiana, and northern Alabama tonight. But that big low pressure center is going to get here tomorrow. This is the timing for the main round of storms tomorrow afternoon. If you live in Mason or Mason County, it could be 3:30, but for most of us, I think it's going to be 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. along and west of I-35. For Austin, Round Rock, it's probably going to be right around 6:30, and then 6 to 8 p.m. for our eastern areas. By 8 p.m., I think the leading edge is probably through Fayette County. There could be some activity back behind it that we'll have to clear out of Bastrop and Lee County, 8 p.m. into 9 p.m. But by 9, I think all of our weather is out. So, latest model data for you. Here is 3 a.m. tonight. Again, models have really been struggling with picking up on this little disturbance tonight. It is showing the potential for some rain over Fayette County and then maybe some more activity developing by 6, 7 a.m. along the I-35 corridor. Don't get too caught up in where exactly the placement is here. There could be scattered storms over any part of central Texas tonight. And there's low end potential where they develop for there to be some pockets of hail. Here's the main event, though, for the afternoon. So here's 4 p.m. Mason, Gillespie County. We see scattered strong storms developing. And once they develop, I think as warm and humid as we are and the upper level winds, I think this will very quickly develop into a organized line or a squall line of storms. So when you get a squall line like this, wind is typically the biggest issue. Now there could be a spin up embedded tornado in spots, but mainly I'm watching for gusty winds as these quickly race eastward. This is 6 p.m. Georgetown, Round Rock, Austin, Buda, San Marcos. And again, I'm watching what the models have been printing out. You see those darker reds around Round Rock, around Hutto, around Georgetown, Granger, Taylor, these areas. I'm seeing that pretty consistently in the models, maybe highlighting that area for a bit more of a substantial severe weather risk. So if you live in those areas, I want everybody to pay attention to the weather tomorrow, but just be especially mindful. I'm noticing some consistency there. 7 p.m. leading edge into Giddings and Schulenburg and Flatonia, the I-10 corridor in Fayette County, and then by 9 or 10, this stuff is moved out. So even behind the storms, it's going to be very breezy. By 6:30, along and just behind the storms, our models are printing out wind gusts that could be as high as 60 miles per hour across parts of the hill country. I don't think that it's going to be quite that high, but I do think 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts will be possible, and that's what the model is showing into midnight, and then that moves farther eastward as we get into Friday morning. So this is going to be really, really windy weather, even outside of any of the storms. Rainfall potential, unfortunately, this is not a huge rainmaker for us. There could be some pockets, especially north of Austin, around Georgetown, around Jarrell, Williamson County, into Burnett, into Marble Falls and Laga Vista, and maybe even getting back into parts of the hill country that get a ½ inch to an inch plus of rain. I think most, though, are going to be closer to a ¼ of an inch just because these are moving so fast. Wind advisory, 3 p.m. to midnight tomorrow for wind gusts up to 50. We talked about this earlier. I think it's likely that this ends up getting extended through tomorrow night and into Friday morning. But just to understand, it's going to be windy. It could be very windy in any strong or severe storms. Those could bring wind gusts 50 to 60 plus. But even outside of the storms, I think 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts will be pretty widespread tomorrow night. So one last look at the 7-day forecast tomorrow. Just want to make sure some folks were getting anxious earlier. Again, we're not trying to scare anybody, but there could be some strong to severe storms tomorrow. So just make sure you got a reliable way to receive your warnings. Obviously, we'll have all sorts of updates coming out through the day tomorrow right here on KVUE. Friday is going to be a little cooler, windy. Fire danger could be elevated on Friday, especially for areas that don't see a ton of rain with the storms. The weekend is looking really nice. Cool mornings, upper 70s for the afternoons, and then we'll be in the 80s next week. But I'll just leave you with this little teaser, and we'll start talking about this once we get through the severe weather risk. But I know we just started, meteorological spring. It would not surprise me if late next week we start talking about some cold weather again. So that is my little teaser for you. Okay, making sure everything is addressed on the Facebook chat. Stacy, my son's birthday is tomorrow. I'm sorry. I hope you didn't have anything outdoors planned. Well, happy birthday to your son. I hope, hopefully it doesn't interfere too much. Roxy is going to tune in at 10. Thank you. And on that note, we will leave you. It's 9:01 right now. In just about an hour, we'll do KVUE News at 10. Talked about it earlier. We get a new run of our high-res model that comes in right before our full forecast on the 10 o'clock news. So I don't expect drastic changes, but we'll have some new model data to go through with you tonight at 10. And Brian and Quita will be here with the news as well. So hopefully you can join us. If not, I'll keep the updates coming. Would really appreciate it if you could like my Facebook page, Hunter Williams, and we've got the Instagram and Twitter updates as well. We'll keep those coming for you tonight and tomorrow. Cool. Have a good night, everybody. I will see you guys tonight at 10.